Hey guys, what's going on? If you're new here, welcome. My name is BrittanyNichole. I have hooded eyes and I tend to do a lot of eyeshadow tutorials that work for my hooded eye boys and girls, like this one today. We are playing with the James Charles palette once again and a couple of other palettes. I wasn't planning on doing a tutorial for this look, but I really liked this shape and how it turned out. I think it's a bit of a step up, but it's still wearable and it is super easy. So like I said, at first I wasn't gonna film this, so I am using a couple of different palettes, but I'll explain that a little bit more in the tutorial. And as always, it's super easy and super achievable. I know it's a bit of a different look and kind of on trend with that whole like Instagram look, but it still works for me, and I have heavy hooded eyes that can't take a lot of shadow. So if you're interested in seeing how I got this look right here, go ahead and keep watching. All right, so like I said in the beginning, I was not planning on doing this look at all, which is why we're jumping into a few different palettes here. So I'm gonna start with the James Charles palette, then we're gonna jump into the NYX Grind palette, and then I'm also using a loose shadow from Loreal, but these are all warm orangey tones. Don't feel the need to go out and buy all three of these palettes. That's the last thing I would want you guys to do. Go through your collection, choose what you have. There's a ton of Wet n Wild palettes that have these shades. So starting in the James Charles palette on a Wet n Wild fluffy brush, I'm gonna go in with 518 and Code James. I'm gonna mix them both, and I'm gonna start to kind of build out this shape. This is a totally new shape for me. By the way, I have a horrible under the skin pimple here that I turned into a freckle mole thing, so ignore that, but this is a totally new shape for me. I wanted to kind of really wing it out and bring it in. So taking those two shades, we're gonna start to build out that shape. And if this is not the first video you're watching of mine, you know this, but I like to apply my shadow in my orbital bone. If you don't know where that is where your eye kind of starts to sink back. So if I was to apply this in my crease, it would be all the way down here. And when I opened my eyes, you wouldn't see that. So I'm applying it really into the orbital bone area. And then I'm gonna start to, instead of go down from here, I'm gonna start to kind of wing it out that way. So it's just an extension of the eye to mimic this. And as always, I'm holding a compact down so that I can really have full access to my lids. I also have a larger mirror in front of me that's angled, so I look down into it instead of up, and that just really allows me to access all of my eyelid. So if you didn't want to wing out the shadow like I'm going to, you could just bring this color down from right here. But now I'm going to start to kind of pull it out, and for that I'm going to switch brushes. I'm going to switch to this Smith 247. It's a little more pointed and it's also flat. So I'm going to really be able to build out that wing, whereas the Wet n Wild is a little too domed. So you want just basically a more precise brush. And for this, I'm just starting with 518 since it's the lighter orange shade. And I'm gonna turn so you guys can see what I'm doing. So like I said, normally I would bring the shadow down, but instead I'm gonna go out like that and just start to kind of wing it outwards. And I am barely touching my face as I do this. I'm having the most light touch I possibly can. So I'm holding the brush way at the bottom of the ferrule. That'll just allow me to, my dog just snorted. That'll just allow me to apply less product. I'm actually gonna switch over to a pencil brush. This is like a crown brush or something along those lines. It's like very old, so it has no name on it. It just says round crease brush. I'm gonna get even a little more precise here. I'm actually gonna switch over to a Smith 232 now, just to kind of blend the edges out. You don't want any harsh lines. You want this to be extremely diffused. All right, so before I go any farther, keeping with that pencil brush and going into both Code James and 518, I'm gonna just take that under my eyes so I can really make sure that I have the outer area in the place I want it to. Sometimes when I apply shadow under my eyes, I wanna extend the outer corner of my upper lid a little bit more, so I'm gonna quickly just throw this under the lash line. So now with Code James, I'm just gonna make sure that that line is extending directly from the lower lash line and going out. Alright, so now taking my Smith 247 and going into Code James only, I'm going to start to deepen that outer corner to start. I'm going to take that about a little more than 1/3 of the way in. And then taking a flat smudger brush, I'm going to go into 10% off and deepen that just a bit more. Gonna kind of take this more on like an angle. Running it on the lower lash line as well. And before I blend that out, I'm just going to take an angled brush with, again, 10% off. And I'm just going to run it along the upper lash line. We're going to cover this with black, but I did it on the other eye, so I want to make sure to repeat it on this eye. Alright, and with my Smith 230, just going to start to blend that outwards now, so it's not quite so harsh. And I'm just really working that outer wing area, just slowly extending it outwards. Alright, and then with a clean Smith 235, blending everything so it's nice and seamless. This will take quite a few minutes at this point to make sure everything's nice and blended. Alright, so once you've blended it to a point that you're pretty happy with, which I am with that, we're going to go in with first the loose shadow I was talking about. So this is a L'Oreal Infallible Paints, the metallic one, and this is in the shade 400 Rose Chrome. Looks like that. I put this on the other eye and realized it wasn't as pigmented as I wanted it to be, so I'm going to repeat it on this side just for the sake of making them match with just a MAC 239, but I don't think this is extremely necessary. So basically where I haven't applied shadow yet, I'm just going to go in with this shade and you'll see it's pretty sheer. I think that this might be a little better if I had like carved it out with concealer, but I don't do that very often. So I'm just going to quickly, kind of haphazardly, but making sure that it's, you know, at least in the shape I want, applying that. And then on top of that, we're going to go in with a glitter. And then once the glitter sets down, we're going to go in with another shimmer. And I like to do most of my blending before I apply glitter because I have a ton of glitter falling out right here. And if I hadn't blended like I did, there would have been a ton more. I like the Stila, which is what we're going in with, basically I should say that. We're going in with the Stila Magnificent Metals in Kitten Karma. But these do have fallout for me, so I just have to commit to having fallout on my face when I go in with something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and take a lot of the product off on the back of my hand first. And then I'm going to keep this a little bit lower than where I applied the L'Oreal. And I'm going to kind of keep it basically where my natural crease is, because then when I blend, I'll go in and it'll kind of move. Alright, so just like that, and I'm just going to kind of look down right now. You could see how much already came off of this side, but we're going to go on top of it like I said. So I'm going to look down while this sets so it doesn't like transfer too much, and then I'll show you what we do next. Alright, so that is mostly dry at this point, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the NYX Grind palette. And I'm going to go in with both of these shades right here. So this orangey corner shade and then this lighter shade. Starting in with the darker orange, I'm going to take that flat brush once again, and this is why I was saying we didn't really need to go in with that L'Oreal shade, but I had done it on that side. So taking that, I'm going to kind of connect the outer corner area, or well, not outer corner, outer third, basically with the shimmer, and you could see how that just connects and looks a lot better. I just think it looks a bit better than the L'Oreal shade, and then applying that glitter. I thought the glitter was a little too stark, and then switching to the lighter shimmer shade in that grind palette, just gonna pop right on top of there. So we still have a little bit of glitter and a little bit of shimmer. I can feel it falling down my face, so make sure you have a brush handy, but again, just commit to the glitter if you want to follow this tutorial. We're just gonna kind of tap over that lightly. Right, so then I'm gonna go back into the L'Oreal shade with a pencil brush and highlight the inner corner a little bit more. And I'm bringing that all the way around. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and line my waterline and then line the top with a liquid liner. So for the waterline, I'm using the Physicians Formula Glide On Gel Eyeliner in Black Velvet. I love this. I've never had the Marc Jacobs liners, but I feel like this is pretty similar. So I'm gonna line my upper and lower waterline, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do a really, really thin liquid liner with the Essence Superfine Eyeliner Pen. All right, and then over the liquid liner, I'm gonna take Spooky from the James Charles palette on a MAC 208 and just line right over there and then extend slightly. All right, so once the wing is finished, we're gonna go ahead and pop on some lashes. I'm using the Kiss Bustier lashes. I got these on like super sale. So I'm gonna apply these and a coat of mascara, and I will be right back here for finishing touches. All right, you guys, and this is the completed look with the lashes on. I will leave all the rest of my makeup details in the description box below if you're interested in seeing that, but I really like this. I'm gonna experiment a little bit more with different eyeshadow shapes because I think it's really fun. Having the little wing on the outside is really pretty and different, and especially when you have hooded eyes, any kind of shadow that you can place somewhere else where it's more visible is always a plus. So I hope this video was helpful to some of you. If you guys have any questions at all, please let me know below. I try my very best to respond to each and every one of you. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in seeing any more videos from me, please subscribe. It means the world to me, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.